Avatar Meher Baba ki Jai. So, why don't you get started with the My Wish? Is it visible?
Yes, it is visible.
Jai Baba.
Avatar Meher Baba ki Jai. My wish, the lover has to keep the wish of the beloved. My wish for my lovers is as follows. Do not shirk your responsibilities. Attend faithfully to your worldly duties, but keep always at the back of your mind that all this is Baba's. When you feel happy, think, Baba wants me to be happy. When you suffer, think, Baba wants me to suffer. Be resigned to every situation and think honestly and sincerely. Baba has placed me in this situation. With the understanding that Baba is in everyone, try to help and serve others. I say with my divine authority to each and all that whosoever takes my name at the time of breathing his last comes to me. So do not forget to remember me in your last moments. Unless you start remembering me from now on, it will be difficult to remember me when your end approaches. You should start practicing from now on. Even if you take my name only once every day, you will not forget to remember me in your dying moments. Avatar Meher Baba ki Jai.
Avatar Meher Baba ki Jai. So, let's continue our journey. The exciting book, Stay with God. Okay, a question for all three of you before we continue. Are you keeping pace with the videos on the playlist of Ward Park Stay with God? Just so that I understand, where you guys are, because I think the poetic appreciation and the contextual understanding improves vastly if one has, kept in touch with the videos from Ward Parks. So just checking if you have.
I think I
No,
watched it
not that.
live. I watched it live last year, right? Are you talking about the same thing?
Yes, yes, yes. So what I would
Last year,
suggest,
God
if you
Speaks.
can,
He did like 7 or 8 videos.
not God
Yeah.
Speaks. No, not God Speaks. So Ward Parks finished God Speaks, which with 12 sessions, I think. And
Mhm.
then let me show you what I'm talking about. In fact, they don't have a playlist. I created a playlist for us and I've shared it on our Telegram. So this is the playlist of
Oh, no,
Ward
I did
Park
not.
Stay with God, right? So there's a 10-minute intro. That's the first one. Then there's 1A, 1B. Then there's one without a session number. I mean, it's a bit messed up. I'm trying to get in touch with Naman and trying to fix it. In fact, it abruptly stops, by the way. It stops abruptly at session 8. I am at 4A. No, I'm at 5, I think. I finished up to 5. We are still to finish the first section of the book, which is biographical, right? So
Mhm.
there are so many aspects that Ward Parks brings out. It's amazing, right? So it's better to do it along with this course as we are doing in the live classes, because otherwise it's just not easy to remember everything, right? So I again exhort you. It's easy with due respect to Ward Parks. It's easy to catch up with these videos at 1.5 speed, which means 1 hour video you can see in about 40 minutes. So literally, you can finish all of this in a week, right? Just your workout time, just your relaxation time, whichever time works for you guys, right? So don't forget to try to catch up. In fact, try to catch up before tomorrow with as much as you can of this, because it really will make your journey even better,
Mm.
right?
Yes, thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I
So
have
this, yeah, go ahead, Mama.
I've done
Ashok.
1A and 1B. Yes, now I remember. Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So at least I
So this
made
is
a picture.
also important. The speaking on the usage of culture, literary, and historical references. Again, this is a lot of detailed work what Parks has done. I think nobody has done what he has done here. And please note, he's also involved in creating the enlarged glossary for this book. So he's very academically and literally involved in this book. So obviously the passion comes through when you listen to these videos, and it's full of Baba, as you can imagine. So you love it. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, we'll have to listen to this. Thanks for putting this all on, and in the 1A, 1B, he has given the entire thing which you have taken in session 1, more or less.
Correct. Exactly. But with a lot more color, lot more detail, right? So it was so beautiful. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Anything else before we continue? Okay. So just as context as where we are in the first of the books. There are 5 of them. The first of the ones is biographical. We are in page 21, and then we continue from that point on. Okay. Jai Baba. I'll start reading. So he's just talking about Buddha and Sariputta, and I think we did some research on Sariputta and Buddha reading in the index, if you can recollect. So we caught up with the index till this page, till page 21. So we'll pick up from page 22 now. Again, if you listen to Ward, he also gives a lot of credit to Baba, because Baba said, I mean, he makes a reference, I shouldn't say gives credit, makes a reference to Baba's insistence on detailed notes, right? So what I referred to was notes to the book. So there's detailed notes at the end of this. And some of those notes, Ward has blown up to very, very great detail. And that is here, right? So if you go to our Stay with God folder, the 2021 packet has rich information. Again, I'm repeating all of this, but it's important that you explore and find out more. So based on the session matches the session in YouTube, the session here, right? You have many references. So if you remember in the notes, we read about Hamsagiri, right? Hamsagiri was covered in detail. And later on in session 3, he talks about Kailasa being a very dominant theme in the whole book. So it was good that we read this last weekend, because the concept of Kailasa being the holy mountain is a recurrent theme in Stay with God. So we'll see that and unravel that as we keep going. All right. So I hope everybody knows how to get to these things. Anybody who doesn't, please get in touch with me. Make your learning experience richer and more enjoyable by doing all of this together. That's important. Okay, so let's get started. Page 22, Stay with God, Avatar Meher Baba Ki Jai. The
Karthik,
time. Yeah.
It shows page 27 in my interface.
Yeah. That's the soft copy. You're right. Thank you.
Okay.
The physical page number printed is 21 and now going to 22. Yeah. Okay. The time was Krishna. The time was Rama. The time was Zarathustra. The time. The world is wrapped in time, and place is men's garment. The world is wrapped in time, and place is men's garment. When it was the time for God to demonstrate the poverty of riches, he was called Solomon, who preached life's vanity. When it was time for men to practice democracy, he was called Muhammad, who lived among men equally in their joys and sorrows. The words of God are the time and place, but the message of the words is love. The words of God are the time and place, but the message of the words is love. It's a very powerful line. So the words of God have been different and are restricted by the time and place, languages, cultures that they belong to, whether it was Buddha, whether it was Christ. But I think the concept that the message was common, and that is the message of love, is what is brought out here. Uh, Also important is, I was thinking about it after listening to even the Ward Park's reference to this concept. So if you look at what Muhammad did, apart from the other, I mean, apart from the Quran, which is the big holy book that he has that came during his avataric period, Sharia, which is nothing but a set of laws, right, on how people should live together, right? If you actually go and understand what Sharia is, it's nothing but how people can live together harmoniously and fairly and with respect and love for each other, right? So, of course, there might be two views on this, but the point that is being made by Francis here is for men to practice democracy. Muhammad showed the way, right? So, 1600 years back, we got written down laws, written down policies on how people should come together, people should act, decide, and so on and so forth. So that's interesting, and I just thought I should bring that up. Yeah. Now from there, I continue. The time now is Baba, who is the same one as the first one, the ancient one. Only the squint-eyed see two ones, but the last one supersedes the one before. Else it were idle for one to come again. But the last one supersedes the one before. Else it were idle for one to come again. His first coming would have been sufficient to the end of time. And God would not have had the great pleasure of renewal with his lovers or of meeting his future devotees. Imagine anyone taking the trouble of making a world and only visiting it once. Imagine anyone taking the trouble of making a world and only visiting it once. The last one is the same as the first, but the last one is the seal of the message, giving it the imprint of his last present form. The last one is the same as the first, but the last one is the seal of the message, giving it the imprint of his last present form. And if you worship one of his previous forms, if you have got into the habit of doing this, whatever blessings God gives you is only by his grace in his last now form. Read, God speaks. This present writing is only his light seeping through 49 degrees of non-illumination and pointing to that book. This present writing is only his light seeping through 49 degrees of non-illumination and pointing to that book. I'll pause here. I think 49 degrees are probably a reference to the 49 levels, 7 with 7 in each of the planes. Would that be interpretation? And obviously, he is giving a lot of importance to God speaks and the fact that the last the current avatar, let's say, supersedes and basically replaces all that's been said before. And this goes back to the oats, right? The oat story. And he goes on to say, even if you're doing something another avatar has said, and you're doing rituals and you're praying and you're doing whatever, The blessings and whatever grace you receive is only from the current one, right? So that's interesting. Any thoughts?
So, Jay Baba, Karthik, I think so. Uh, uh, Love is the overriding theme, and it prevails even over rituals or maybe if it's not done properly, the karma kanda. Is that
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I think that's not being said here. I think what's being said here is, specifically if you go to this line, if you have got into the habit of doing this, okay, actually I have to start from here. And if you worship one of his previous forms, that is not Baba, if you have got into the habit of doing this, whatever blessings God gives you is only by his grace in his last now form, which means I can pray to Rama, but the grace and blessings comes only from Meherabad. That's the point that's being made here. The love part was here. The message is common and the words are different. Was in this para. Yeah. The words of God are the time and place, but the message of the words is love.
Yes. The point which still comes here is the 49 degrees was referred to in God Speaks or other literature in a different context also. So, what is the exact point brought out here, referring to 49 degrees of non-illumination and pointing to that book God Speaks he is referring to? But
I think that's just poetic expression. He's beautifully saying that the light seeping through 49 degrees, and 49 degrees, I think, is a reference, like you said, to the levels before God realization.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it is. Or is it more? Maybe. I don't know. So what do you think it could be?
I'm not sure. Say 49 degrees, if it is referring to 360 out of 360,
No, I don't
that
think
is one aspect. If it is referring to 100, 49 is
percentage.
less than
No, I
even
don't think
50. So what about the rest of the 50? I'm not able to
No,
put it
I think he's
across.
talking about. I think he's talking about the heavens that are there in each planes. Seven stages in each plane. 7 times 7. I
Yes.
think it's clear. It was made clear in beams, right?
Yes.
The
No, I
beams. The
think
second
not
second
even
chapter. If I remember
beams.
right. Yeah.
Is it? Okay. Let's see if there's something in the notes that helps us. I think there are no footnotes mentioned here, but you directly have to keep referring. So maybe I request our note taker to help me here. 21:15. We are in 22, right? Yeah, there's nothing in 22.
Yes.
Yeah, there's nothing in 22. Okay. So back to 27. So the next note, just keep it back of your mind, 25. Okay. Yeah. Oops. Yeah, so I think 49 is more the non-illumination, which means that the levels before illumination. And I would think that it is not, its degree is not out of the 360, but I may be wrong. And I surely think it's not percent or a
Just an
complement.
expression. It's just an
Expression, yeah, poetic
expression.
expression, yeah. Yes,
Yeah, not mathematical.
yes, I agree. I continue. This delightful and frequent recurrence of God's pleasure in knowing Himself, this well pleasedness with Himself, this perfect vanity of His, is one of the amazements of His lovers. This delightful and frequent recurrence of God's pleasure in knowing Himself, this well pleasedness with Himself, this perfect vanity of His, is one of the amazements of His lovers and is the cause of their tears of joy an impossible size. For the lover is in love with the beauty of the beloved, and the essence of his beauty is his vanity, and all else but his beauty is vain. Okay, any comments? So let's talk of a perfect vanity and the fact that God's pleasure in knowing himself in and his contentment, well pleasedness with himself is causing amazement to his lovers. And they get tears of joy, an impossible size, for the lover, that is the Jivatmas, is in love with the beauty of the beloved, and the essence of his beauty is his vanity. And all else but his beauty is, now he uses the poetic play on the word vanity. He says it's vain, it's not useful, not is useless, right? So everything but his beauty is useless, but the essence of his beauty is his vanity. Now, what is vanity in the dictionary?
Yes.
Let's look.
Yes.
Oops. Quality of being too proud of your appearance or abilities. Ghamand. Thumb. So let's go back and read it now. This delightful and frequent recurrence of God's pleasure in knowing himself, this well-pleasedness with himself, this perfect vanity of his, is one of the amazements of his lovers, and is the cause of their tears of joy and impossible sighs. For the lover is in love with the beauty of the beloved, and the essence of his beauty is his vanity, and all else but his beauty is vain. So I think it's talk of the 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 form, the beauty of the form, which is obviously captivating and very magnetic to the Jivatmas, and the beloved himself giving a lot of what should I say, credulence or importance to his own form, right? And that's what I get out of this. Any other thoughts?
So, Jay Baba, it's also very mesmerizing.
Yeah, that's a even better word. Yeah, the form is mesmerizing. Yes.
And all else but his beauty is vain. I think that's the division between duality and reality. Is that the way we interpret it the correct way? I don't know. I'm asking a question.
Try that again. Which is duality?
And all else but his beauty is vain. So duality is all, like a movie, as we have discussed, or it's not so significant, but his beauty and the reality of, the world of reality is what is the ultimate goal and ultimate of essence, and therein lies his beauty, is how I interpret it, but I just want the confirmation.
What came to my mind while say going through this repeatedly is that we are captivated by the say vision of Baba, by his say all his stories, all his physical characteristics, all his suffering for the other in the say Advent, and then the span of say false time he lived here. So all that is captivating for us. Apart from his words, his life itself is actually the physical characteristics, the way he lived, the way he say interacted with people, captivated them, brought them together, kept them in his circle. All these things are also. It was a way of his doing things. So that is why he may be referring it to vanity here. So apart from what he has left as messages, this aspect is also very, very captivating for all of us. That is how he draws us all to him. That is what he's referring here, probably. That's how I look at it. Jai Baba.
Yeah, I agree. There's a lot of importance to the form and its magnetism, its ability to attract, sustain interest, even for those who don't know him. And then all that he did in form is also a beacon of hope and inspiration and even delight when we hear the stories. Right? Yeah. Good explanation. I continue. After God as Maharaj had with the most finite object, a stone, begun the downbringing of that which is most infinite and adorable. So after God as Maharaj, so here the reference is to the perfect master. So the perfect God acting through the perfect Maharaj, perfect master as Upasni Maharaj, with the most finite object, a stone, begun the downbringing, that is bringing down to human consciousness, of that which is most infinite and adorable. Himself, newly awakened, his own new morning of himself for the world. Himself, newly awakened, that is, I think the reference here could be to Maharaj himself. Himself, newly awakened, his own new morning of himself for the world. He's gifting something to the world now by this bringing down, which gives a new morning. After he had completed for him the downcoming with its agonies and its wonder and glory and passage breaking of the atoms of earth and the rending of the temple veils of heart, so that avatar was established in everyone and thing in potentiality of new singing. After he had completed for him the downcoming with its agonies and its wonder and glory. So in the downcoming, there is agonies, there's wonder and glory, and passage breaking of the atoms of earth. So I do not know what this could mean. Passage breaking of the atoms of earth. So there's a lot of effort that goes in, probably. And the rending of the temple veils of heart. Rending means, what is rending? Is it rendering? Whoa. Rending.
Yeah. Break.
Split something. Okay. Usually,
Tear
so
up.
atoms being broken. Yeah. Atoms being broken. Oh no. Veils being broken. And rending of the temple veils of heart, so that, okay, so it's basically breaking all the veils of illusion in the minds and hearts of the people and establishing the avatar in everyone and everything in potentiality of new singing, right? So he's using again poetic expression using singing, right? Any other thoughts?
Yeah, Jai Baba, so this Upasni Maharaj, that incident of throwing the stone, is that, I think that is what is.
Yes, that's what's being talked about here. Perfect.
Perfect.
Okay. So now he ends the last stanza with was established in everyone. So the avatar is established in everyone and everything in potentiality of new singing. That is, in the fact that they could start singing the glory of God and maybe make quicker progress than before, because that's the role of the avatar. So then, in the stones and the trees and the animals and in the dust of the earth and the waters of the sea and in people ready to break into lovely song at his speaking, S capital. When all this was arranged between himself and himself to his satisfaction and to the amazement of all beings illumined and in the hope of all beings still in the dark of their turning, Merwan took leave of Upasni and returned to Pune, where a hut had been built for him on the outskirts of the city. So, in the stones and the trees and the animals and in the dust of the earth and the waters of the sea and in people ready to break into lovely song at his speaking, when all this was arranged between himself and himself, that is the two roles of being God and also being in God-man form, to his satisfaction and to the amazement of all beings illumined. That is the all God realized souls that are there, they are amazed. And in the hope of all beings still in the dark, and he gives hope to all the other beings who are still in the dark of their turning. So they turning as in their progress. Merwan took leave of Upasni and returned to Pune, where a hut had been built for him on the outskirts of the city. So he leaves Upasni and returns to Pune, right? So
This is
remember,
where we are. This is where we are actually in LM reading almost.
yeah, almost correct. Yes.
Exactly, Mamaji, that same thought came to my mind.
So I think this is section 2. We did section 1 and then we did section 2. So I hope you remember this table. So this line indicates an end of a section. Now we go to one of the longer sections, which is 101 stanzas. Each stanza is 7 lines, and then you have different number of stanzas. Again, what Parks even explains the significance of these numbers and tries to give his idea of why these numbers could be chosen. But now we go to the meat of his biography. The meat of his biography is in 101 stanzas in section 3, right? So he actually hands you over to the love song, which is number 2. The second book is the love song. So section 7 is a small section, and then he hands you to John Kerry. John Kerry is the pseudonym of Francis Brabazon. So now we'll start section 3, right? So all this again is in the folder. Please explore if you have the time and interest, and it will make your journey even more enjoyable. Okay.
I'm
Section
just curious
3.
to know, where is this outside the city in olden times? Probably is in the middle of the city, where this hut was built. Anybody has any idea?
No. Puneite Ashokji.
Ashok.
We know Baba House. That's
Yeah.
right in the heart of the city.
Mm-hmm.
Even today, I mean, it's like I think what is that area near the hospital?
Yeah.
But what about? Are you aware of anything like this? The hut that was created just after he left Upasni Maharaj? Ashok?
Afraid I'm not aware. I'll find out from the Pune Center.
Sure. That'd be nice.
I'll find out, yes.
Sure, that'd be nice.
Interestingly, what I found out was where Baba's house is. What is that place called? Forgot the name. Even
Meher Dastur Road. That's what I
Pumpkin
remember.
House,
Dastoor Meher Road. Somwarpet, yeah.
Somwarpet. Even Shivaji spent his childhood in the same area, I believe. What is that area called? I'm sorry, I forgot.
It's all the cantonment area, and it's Somwarpet. That much I think you're right. I don't know if there's any other. They are all the old part of Pune.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how I didn't think of it. When Mamaji went to Pune, I should have told him to go and explore these places. I did that for so. I mean, I know me and Soma did exchange some text on that, but Mamaji, you missed. You were right there. You were in Somwarpet. Apologies. I should have told you.
I have sent a link to Mamaji, and it's there on Telegram. All the places where
Okay.
Baba visited.
Okay.
Yes,
Were you able to
yes,
do
I
some?
was.
Were you able to check?
No, I couldn't do anything because I was tied up with other things, and it was a very, very short visit.
Short trip. Yeah.
And other duality was pressing more than this for reality.
Yeah. So let me continue then.
Mhm.
This is section 3. Now he began to gather his disciples. It was one of these who first called him Baba, Meher Baba, or compassionate father. Some felt his light in their hearts and came. Some picked up the hint from Brabazon and Maharaj, for these masters were now openly declaring him. He is now capable of moving the world at a sign from his finger. I have given the key of my treasure to Merwan. Do whatever he tells you. The last two are quotes from Hazrat Babajan and Maharaj, Upasni Maharaj, talking about Meher Baba. Some he drew directly to him using the patience of a master lover, flattering their whims, widening gradually the space in their hearts to receive his love, playing upon the flute of their hearts till their souls' ears became enamored of his music, drawing ever more closely the net of love about them and pulling them in from the terrible ocean of conditioned existence, where they swam with the millions of where they swam with the millions other fishes of us, bright hued or dull. So this is again a very nice poetic expression of how he drew people to him. So some he drew directly using the patience of a master lover.
So, Jay Baba, I think
To receive his love.
the phrase different strokes for different folks is what I am reminded of. The different ways in which Baba draws everyone into his fold. There could be different incidents, there could be different people you meet. It's really interesting how he brings people into his fold.
Correct. No, but I think the more important point that's being made out here is one is the individual part, right? So each one is pulled in a different way. But then the effort that he takes to draw them in. So he does a lot of stuff. He gives them hints, he pampers them, he indulges their mistakes, and then as a masterful lover, draws them in. That's the point that's being made. And then there's again the analogy of the terrible ocean, he says, of conditioned existence, where they swim with millions of other fishes, bright hued or dull. Let's continue. One who had been his school fellow and was unaware that the universes and the wonders of the six planes lay at his feet. Baba greeted in well meeting, left the veil across his eyes, and resumed the friendship at its former level, indulged mutual inquiries, recalling episodes and incidents, and engaged in discussions on philosophy, in which subject his friend had become adept. So there's a specific reference to one of his classmates, I believe. And so he was unaware that the universes and the wonder of the six planes lay at his feet. Baba greeted him in well meeting and left the veil across his eyes. And so basically went down to the level of his classmate friend and indulged mutual inquiries, recalled a lot of episodes that happened and incidents, and then also engaged in discussions on philosophy, in which subject his friend had become adept. So we're still not at a point where we get a note, right? 25 is the next note, yeah. So I don't know who this person could be. Anybody recall a story around this with the name of the classmate?
No, I think there are two people. One of them was, who went sort of astray and then joined an army in another country and went through a lot of troubles and then came back and joined Baba. So I don't get the exact name or thing. That may be the reference here. Left their veil across his eyes and resumed the friendship at the former level. Indulged in mutual inquiries, recalling episodes and incidents, and engaged in discussion on philosophy, in which subject his friend had become adept. And there is one more reference in Lord Meher. This actually refers to particular person. We have to find out who is this actually.
If we find it, please let us know. Let the group know, and then we can update this copy of the Lord Meher. We'll put a comment here saying who the person is, and also the Lord Meher pages that refer to that.
Yes, it needs a lot of work. Lord Meher is the source for it, because it explains each individual relationships with his former, students who are with him, and acquaintances, and all the people he drew to himself. All that comes up only in Lord Meher, I think.
Correct. In
and
fact,
maybe
talks
in
about,
other anecdotes written by each one of the Mandali persons. So that may also help in clarifying these ideas, I think.
Narrowing down to who that person is.
Yes.
There's another book written by Nausharwan Ansar, recently released. What is it? Boyhood to Avatarhood.
Godhood, yeah.
Yeah, that may also have some information. I haven't completed that book. I'm in the process of reading. Maybe I read a couple of chapters, but that may have some insight into this.
Yes, you can have. So to actually come down to who is this person, we have to enlarge our knowledge of Baba's former group and how he drew them, brought them back, leaving them for their own activities for some time, and then bringing them back into his fold and all that.
I think Ramju Abdullah also was a classmate, right? Ravi
No,
anybody?
he was not. No, he's not.
Baba's good friend was Dr. Ghani.
I think one is Bailey.
Okay.
Bailey, Ghani.
So Baba's putting us to research. We have to.
Yep, let's do that. Yep. So let's continue. Left the veil and led him on, as a hunter veils the quarry with security. He owned. Now, then suggested that he himself sweep out each morning the small hospital he owned. He did, and within 6 months had swept away his practice and was free to follow God. So God plays out the little plays of men. If it's worth a consummation, it's worth a wooing. The sudden sun burns on the west of the ridge, but on the east slope draws up the plants to growth gradually. So here's another hint in this para. It's a doctor,
Yes, yes.
and
It's a
yeah, it's a doctor,
doctor.
and he had a practice, and
Yes,
he has
yes.
suggested something about sweeping. I think it's
Yes,
just a
yes.
Google search away now.
I think he's talking.
No, no, no.
Probably he's
We
talking
just
about
read
Gunny.
that few.
Probably he's talking about Gunny. Gunny.
Yes,
Yeah,
Ghani,
Dr. Abdul
Dr.
Ghani.
Ghani.
Yes, yes.
Gunny is
Ah,
a
Dr. Abdul Ghani.
homeopathic doctor, right?
Yes, he was a homeopathic and he also practiced at either this one, Ayurvedic, I think, later.
Ayurvedic. Yeah.
awesome. Our group is very good. So let's mark this out here and add a comment right there. So Abdul Ghani.
Gunny was always very mischievous and Baba, when he was in Bombay, Manzil Meem, he was smoking a lot of cigarettes. And Baba said, you should smoke only one cigarette. He said, okay, Baba. And what he did was he attached 7 8 cigarettes attached together and he started smoking.
Okay. Is Ghani the person who also was asked to write and who was very lazy and slow but very
Yes,
proficient?
yes.
Yeah.
God speaks.
Yeah, exactly.
Appendix. What do you call that? Appendices or the
Yeah,
last
the
part?
notes. The
The
supplements.
earliest notes are from Dr. Ghani's work.
Exactly. The
Yeah.
core manuscript was put together by
Yes.
Ghani based on notes written by Baba. And he
But
took
Baba
forever
also,
and Baba went after him.
yeah, Baba also yelled at him for, he died in 1956, I think, but he also yelled at him. Baba said something and he wrote something else.
Oh, okay.
He died in
Yeah.
1951.
Yeah, in 51.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay,
I think after Baba's accident in Oklahoma, he was taking rest in Myrtle Beach, in that place. What is that
recovery,
place
yeah.
called? Recovering in that
Lagoon
Sufi
cabin.
spot.
Oh, the the house next to Myrtle Beach.
Next to the Myrtle Beach. Sufis
Yeah.
bought the place. That's where he was taking. Yeah, so
DuPont.
Baba was DuPont. Yeah, DuPont Jones.
DuPont
So
Jones,
Baba
yeah.
was criticizing Ghani for writing something else than what Baba said. He was very disappointed at that.
They went to school and college together.
Right.
Wow. Very nice. Okay, so let's continue. So we are convinced it's Ghani, and there's further talk about his medical practice, and then he again makes a line: if it's worth a consummation, it's worth a viewing, and he plays down to the level of men. And there's again a poetic expression of sun and how it's always working on different levels, west and east. It's doing something on the west, but then it's also trying to help plants to grow gradually in the east. Okay, I continue. Like the chap who had 2 valuable pots, dirty, one he gave to one man to clean, the other to another man. One back the next day, shining, but the temper gone out of the metal. The other returned after 40 days of careful cleaning, also shining and useful. It takes time to scour pots or grow tomatoes. It takes a lot of time to clean out a man's heart and grow love in him, so that as well as being bright with God, he can be useful to men.
I think
This is
this
just
story
a.
is also in Lord Meher.
Tell us more. Do you have a page reference? Do you want to go read it now?
Not now, not now. I am just thinking where it may be. I think we have read this. I'll find out. I'll find out.
Okay, if you do, please update this. Put a comment here on the Lord
Ah.
Meher pages, because so you come across the two pots. You think?
Yes, yes. I think this story is there. Two
Nice.
people were involved in that.
Nice, very nice, great. I continue. Love's claiming of another lover also followed an excursive course. At this time, this one said, I used to visit a friend's house where we young men discussed everything under the sun. One night, there was a new face. No one paid particular attention to him, but gradually he seemed to become the focal point of the gatherings, and it was his say that was granted. Merwan says this, Merwan says that. I got sick of hearing his name. So here he's talking about slowly Merwan becoming the focal point of the groups that he belonged to. And also, there is a reference to that causing a little bit of frustration. And he starts by saying, Love's claiming of another lover also followed an excursive course. At this time, this one said, so after that, it's reference to what happened in the groups. So let's continue to see if we understand a little more. But incidents occurred which puzzled my intellect and nagged intelligence for answer. As on a boat excursion, when we went ashore on an island, it was noon, and being a Muslim, I went off and found a secluded spot and offered my prayers. When I got back, Merwan was grumbling that we had all left him. One goes off and offers prayers, another goes fishing. None of us had said what he had intended doing. So this again refers to a particular incident, looks like.
Everything is in Lord Meher.
Okay.
And we just read through all that.
Wow.
His early days from, his creating the group, Manzil Beam, and
Manzil
before
Beam
that,
days.
and all that place. It is all there.
Nice. So this reference that you're seeing also, you're
yes,
able to
two
place.
references. One is one who sat secluded. That is also referred to one person there, and this one is when they go on a boat and then reach an island and all that. This story is also there in Lord Meher.
Wow. Nice. I found I was always thinking of him. I told him one day I was going on a train journey. He said it was a coincidence he was going on the same train. Soon after we started, he said gently, ask anything you like of me, long life, wealth, fame, and I will see that you get it. But the better thing would be to make up your mind to do whatever I tell you to do. My mind was made up. I have followed this man now for 30 years and obeyed him. So it'll be a good exercise to actually find these references
we'll
and
have
link
to
it up.
link each of that by going through Lord Meher. This is also there. And this train also, he talks about train, bogies, engine, stations, all that will come.
Yeah, that's frequently occurring analogy,
Yes,
and used even in discourses. Stations,
yes,
the lanes and city out around the station, and then getting
yes,
back to
yes,
the
yes. These are the
station to take the
planes,
train.
and then yes,
And going
that is the
Vale is just
different
going as a
planes. Stations are referred to as different planes, and if you get down and do not get back to the train, you are astray in that plane.
in that
Like
plane. Yeah,
some of the musts, like
correct. And it needs a perfect master to come and get them back,
draw them back into the train.
Yeah. And then take them to the next station. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. But another, as a boy, when sick, needed only a few visits to wonder at a kindness greater than his parents. And when again well, asked his father's permission to give up his life for him. But his father saw no good in this man and forbade it. But in Baba, the boy had seen his true father. So he saluted his father and went to him. Another, but with his father's blessing, left his home, set in desirable gardens, and gave up his life to him. So again, two specific individuals. One
yes.
for this. Yeah, okay. So you obviously recognize it. Very nice. So 25 reminds me that there's a note on the palace or the house. So we'll get to that. We'll read. We'll start with the stanzas here. When Baba had gathered to him 40 men, he left his hut by the roadside on the edge of Pune, and accompanied by them, walked to Bombay, and there established his first and ideal ashram, Manzil-e-Meem, the house of the master. Here, the disciples lived under a strict rule. Baba was their mother and father, as the one he served their every need. As the other, he taught them and chastised them of their hindrances to pure self, the guests, a caring and instructing perfect in method and result. A caring and instructing perfect in method and result. I read that again. A caring and instructing perfect in method and result. Right?
That hut in Pune, where the Baba had told why he actually instructed that hut be placed there, because it seems there lived say saint earlier there, maybe a perfect master, and that's why Baba chose that place. That's also
Nice.
referred in Lord Meher.
Awesome. So let's go pick these notes up. 25. There's only one note. House of the Master. The place was called Manzil-e-Meem, or House of the Master. The letter M, Meem, in Persian, being given the significance of one descending from zero. Hence, in English, House of the Master. So, descending from zero. The letter M in Persian being given the significance of one descending from zero. Is it the number one descending from zero, or anything represented by one descending from zero? I don't know. And how does something descend from zero? This is a bit confusing, but that's me. Anybody?
Zero may be zero may be something which we don't understand, or somewhere beyond us, descending from there. Maybe it is referring like that. Probably.
Possible.
I don't know.
Possible. Anyway, this is minor. The house of the master in Persian is what is being referred to here. So with that, Just remember this page 163, and then the next page is 27. Till then, we don't have to worry. 30. Yeah. His transition from one role to the other was as swift as one turning from the moon to look at the sun. When both are in the sky, and his expression of mood as extreme, the cool gentleness of the moon and the fierce burning of the sun, gold is the face of the moon to the eyes of children and lovers, and gold is the sun in the blood of nursling heroes. And the moon, sun, man, is the gold of God in the hearts of hero lovers.
Moon, sun, man. Okay.
Poetic license, poetic liberties, poetic expression. But what's important here is Ward, when you listen to the videos, you'll realize Ward also talks about how the sun and the moon is another dominant theme in the book, right? So in multiple references, they have different meanings, but the use of and if you notice, even in the first section, there was sun and the moon, right? No, I think it was only sun. No, I think it was sun day and moon day. You're right. There was sun and moon in the first section as well. So this is the second reference we are seeing to sun and moon. But he says that's a dominant theme along with Kailasa. So the idea of Kailasa and Shiva and the holy hill, I mean the holy mountain, whatever, is a dominant theme along with sun and moon. So that's something I remember. Continuing, his we finished this stanza. So fierce at times was his sun glory that disciples of powerful physique, one a noted wrestler, would tremble before him, for they knew the power of that slight hand from a body wasted with fasting, which could knock them down with a blow or pick them up as though they were rag dolls and crash them to the floor, while the timid would hide until the sun's storm had passed, and in the sky of their vision smiled once more the smiling moon. So again, Manzile meme days, Baba was known to have a temper, was very exacting and demanding. So there's probably a reference to that, and I don't know if Mamaji and the Lord Meher group, there are some references to a Pahalwan.
Yes, they refers to one of the Mandali member who was FT, and then Baba teased him for a fight, and then he could hold him without getting rising out of the mud. So there is a reference for this story also.
Nice. Okay. So we have been evilly brought up, and there is no evil like ignorance or willful distortion of the truth of God's avatar. We have been evilly brought up, and there is no evil like ignorance or willful distortion of the truth of God's avatar. To the view of Jesus' sacrifice, without this view balanced by an understanding of his glory, his divine terribleness. The Lamb has been shown to us, the Lion, creator and sustainer and destroyer of universes and lives, suppressed, a pernicious doctrine, fosterer of subjection and tyranny, betrayal of truth and love. Quite a bit being said here, but I again go back to Ward. He says that one of the big things about Stay With God is how Jesus's portrayal in biblical terms as more the lamb has been broken, and he's shown by Francis to be a lion, right? So if you see here, the lamb has been shown to us, but he actually is the lion, the creator, sustainer, and destroyer of universes and lives, suppressed as pernicious doctrine, fosterer of subjection and tyranny, betrayal of truth and love. So after the semicolon, he says that whole representation of Jesus in that fashion is a betrayal of truth and love. I think. I hope I'm right about this. Anybody else?
Maybe.
Okay.
That's why over the period, how say things get spoiled because of the ideas in duality, and they try to hide certain
Portray.
things and highlight only certain things. So this goes on. Even the Avatar Baba will also face this in later ages, I think.
Sadly, yes.
Yes. That is what Baba also has referred, that all the previous avatars and writings and religious texts are all colored over the period, and it is written by others later of the story. So they put their ideas also and then modify it so that the core essence gets not projected properly. And he says core essence is the same love. So that's what he says. All avatars basis is love, and then bringing up the people to their realization at each point of time in that circumstance, in the way they can understand, in the way they can try to
As
practice.
relevant to them.
So that's why you see so much of differences in religious practices, but it all ends up to the same thing.
Yep. Jai Baba. So, in fact, on that note, Ward dwells quite a bit on the biography. I mean, it's a digression, but it's relevant to what Mamaji said now on the corruption or weakening or strengthening of wrong things about an avatar after he drops his form. So, Ward dwells quite a bit on that, and he actually talks about each of the avatars and the availability of biographical information down to the point of when it was written or and by whom it was written. And then he credits. I mean, we are very lucky that in the case of Baba, it was ordered by him, and it was done in quick time, and we had it in a few years after Baba dropped his body in the form of Lord Meher, which I think is one of the most detailed and most well, what can I say, expansive biographies of amongst all the avatars, right? So okay, he talks about that as well in the videos. So again, I'm plugging for Ward. Please go listen to those videos and then attend these classes, right? Yeah. Okay, we have been brought up on a story, the wholeness of which is perfect, but which in its telling only half was told, of the lamb being killed, Jesus as the lamb being killed. The other half, in which the lion rose with a roar which shook the whole earth, has been left unsaid. He suffered the slaughter of his lambness and slept for 3 days in his cave on the mountainside. Then joined his Father, ruler of wide heaven, in judgment on us, for ours is the sin, an opiate teaching for an indolent people. So, again, the last two lines are basically describing how the tweaking or the changing of history or the biographical sketch of Jesus is wrong and unfair. So that's like a final slap in each stanza. He says that's a betrayal of truth and love. Then he says an opiate teaching for an indolent people. So here again, he says that he's talking about I think the resurrection, where he comes back and then joined his father, ruler of wide heaven, in judgment on us. But the sin is actually ours, right?
Yes.
So anybody else, any other insights, please jump in.
Yes, it is the same that Easter and
Resurrection.
resurrection is Easter. And before that, what is that?
Crucifixion.
Friday.
Crucifixion.
Crucifixion.
Yeah. But then the crucifixion is being contrasted from being the lambness to what happens after the lambness, where he's a lion.
Yeah.
The full-eared harvest of the lovely tale of God's avatars. The full-eared harvest of the lovely tale of God's avatars has been wasted, and the straw heaped in 2 heaps for us to feed from. Oh, betrayal of the majesty of Jesus! They belittle their Lord, who make him a mere miracle worker and a sacrifice, slaughtered lamb for a race of meat eaters. Feed us, make our profits bigger, expand our industries. Thank you. Idiots we have been, served by servile doctors. So again, he's brutally and in a bout of anger attacking all the things in the Christian faith, especially the way Jesus' death and Jesus has been portrayed. And he says there's a betrayal of the majesty of Jesus. And again, even Ward talks about it, right? They belittle their Lord, who make him a mere miracle worker. So the biggest attribute of Jesus as Son of God is the fact that he was able to do miracles. Baba said Jesus had to come down to 4th plane to do those miracles. Why are you comparing him with that? Right? He's to do miracles. You have to come down to the 4th plane. At the state of the perfect master, there's no miracle, right?
Yes.
So you're actually lowering the level of Jesus, right? So I think that's what we are saying. And then obviously he's saying that religion itself is focusing on making our profits bigger, expanding our industries. And then he's being again critical of all of us. Idiots we have been, served by servile doctors, served by people who are drinking the Kool-Aid, American expression. Yeah.
One observation here: the straw heaped in 2 heaps for us to feed from. So, is there 2 literatures or 2 books of say the religion? One is Bible. Is there any other?
I mean, the
Is
only
it
two I
Mamaji-
can think of, the New and the Old Testament, probably. I don't know.
Okay.
Exactly.
What's that, Ashok? You're not very clearly audible.
Sorry, the network might be poor. So it is basically, I think, the reference to the Old Testament and the New
That's what I
Testament.
said. Yeah.
Possible. Okay.
Okay. But our anger at the deception has bred in us violence upon violence, groveling upon groveling, and divided us in terrible separation. O Jesus, bright morning in succession of bright mornings in the day of God, most perfect morning along with each other. Perfect morning, morning for whom the stars called, morning each time for whom the universes patiently suffer their tireless turning. Arrows stream morning. Morning now Baba. Again, a lot of poetic play of sun and morning and how the new morning and the arrow stream morning and the current morning, which is morning now, is Baba.
Yeah.
Right? Again, people, please jump in and draw your own interpretations, your own questions, and ways of understanding this. I'm not a great. I told you earlier, right? I'm not great with poems at all. This is the first time I'm reading any poem with seriousness. Okay.
So here each morning is an each avatar. Now is the morning now Baba. So
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
And is there any specific reference to other avatars? I am not sure of that. Yeah. One after the
No,
other.
I think it's just one after the other.
Poetic way of putting it across.
Perfect morning for whom the stars called. So the nights and the universes are patiently waiting. That is, the whole of creation is waiting for and doing their tireless turning. Creation does their tireless turning, waiting for the morning, which is the appearance of the avatar. I think that's the way we can interpret it.
Yes.
Okay. Brought up on a half doctrine, we have been music on instruments without completion of lovely speech of song. The lesser half, for music is in all nature, but speech is alone of man. And God's sacrifice in each of his avatars is felt by all things in the earth, even stones and trees. But his glory is understood by men, and men, by leave of the saints, can tread the path to it, and by the grace of the perfect masters, attain it. So he's talking about speech being the gift that is uniquely available to man, not available. Music is available to literally the whole of creation, but speech is available only to man. And then he goes on, and that's where I'm thinking, is he talking about the sacrifice of silence, or rather the aspect of silence of Baba? And God's sacrifice in each of his avatars is felt by all things in the earth, even stones and trees. But his glory is understood by men, and men, by leave of the saints, can tread the path to it, and by the grace of the perfect masters, attain it. So saints can guide you, but perfect masters can help you attain it. So saints can only help you on the path, and you need a perfect master or an avatar to help you attain it. Okay?
Yes.
We have been told of God's sacrifice for us, but not instructed regarding our required sacrifice to him. Surely a doctrine for shopkeepers who don't like fair trade. We have been told of God's sacrifice for us, but not instructed regarding our required sacrifice to him. Surely a doctrine for shopkeepers who don't like fair trade. We affirm, unless one die, and take it that affirmation is sufficient to bring about our death. Our beloved master would never think of helping us along. It has not been lovingly explained to us that a blow from the hand of God is a caress from him of most love. There are two ideas that are brought out here. Yeah, go ahead.
This is the best way of putting it across. Baba's way of molding his own group and people like us. So suffering is front for movement in the path. So Baba, whenever required, gives you all the experiences which you may not like, but that is the way you can say move
Progress.
along the spiritual path. Yes.
Your
And
prescription
last slide.
is your prescription is a bitter pill, but
Yes.
it is the only pill that will help you.
Yes. The last line tells that very well. It has
From the
been
hand of
lovingly
God.
explained to, yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
From the hand of God, a caress to him is the, actually this blow is a caress from him of most love.
Yeah. Okay.
Unless you die. Baba also refers to, you have to die. He refers to that word.
Yeah. Real death.
Real death.
The crucifixion of Avatar is continuous. Krishna's disciples witnessed it as the divine flute player, struck with the poisoned arrow, cried his cry in their hearts to awaken. Jesus' disciples knew it, and Rama's, when lotus-eyed Sita was torn from him, and he, on the battlefield, and the muscles of his body like whipcords, and the sweat pouring from it. And thou, Baba, with your broken body and the thorns of our heedlessness in your gentle flesh. So he's making a reference to all the dropping of the bodies of the avatars and what happened at that time. And yeah, so it's Jesus, Rama, Krishna, and Baba. Bright jewel, your greatness is in your humiliation. Your sun glory is in your moon gentleness. From your suffering is born all singing. A ray, beloved, from the jewel of your pain, an arrow ray, a sudden rifle ray in this density called heart, that my soul enwrapped in a shadow coat of your glory may sing you and continue to unfold the story of your love. So it's again talking about the love coming to your heart. A ray, beloved, from the jewel of your pain, an arrow ray, a sudden rifle ray, targeted rifle ray, in this density called heart, that my soul enwrapped in a shadow coat of your glory may sing you and continue to unfold the story of your love. Listen to the delightful story of the mercy of God in the form of Tilopa and how he brought up Naropa from the gate of hell and bestowed on him eternal bliss of truth. Naropa was a bright young man, earnest and gifted. One night he was engaged in a liquidation ritual for someone. He didn't like the look of when an angel appeared and warned him, if you can't absolutely guarantee him a better birth next time, you yourself could drop back the rounds even to stone stage again. This gave our young, yeah.
This Naropa story, I don't know anything about it.
No. So I think there's a note. So I just wanted to finish one more paragraph and go to the notes.
Okay.
Or maybe finish the Naropa. Or it's quite a long one. So let's go and read Naropa and come back. So we are in 27 and we need to go to 163, correct? Yeah, Tilopa.
Yeah.
Tilopa is a master in North India in the 10th century, and Naropa became the guru of Marpa, the translator, a Tibetan who founded the Kargyupta school in Tibet, and whose disciple Jetsun Milarepa became its most famous master. This school is still active and functioning according to Marco Pallas in his Peaks and Lamas. For the teachings of this school, the only available books in English are the four excellent volumes by W.Y. Evans Wentz and published by Oxford, Tibet's Great Yogi Milarepa, Tibetan Yoga, and Secret Doctrines. The Tibetan Book of the Dead, rendered into English by Lama Kazi Dawa Samdup, and the Tibetan Book of the Great Liberation, translated by Sardar Bahadur S.W. Leiden La, CBE, FRGS, and by the Lamas Karma Sundon Paul, Lobzang Mingyo Dorje, and Kazi Dawa Samdup. So these are books that talk about Tilopa, Naropa, and the Tibetan history around the Milarepa. It is interesting to note the alteration of method of these masters. Tilopa treated Naropa extremely harshly. Naropa was a gentleness itself in his training of Marpa. Marpa's upbringing of Milarepa seemed pitiless, while Milarepa in turn gave his disciples every consideration. The reasons for these differences, and especially the reason for his own treatment of Milarepa, are beautifully and most touchingly explained by Marpa in Tibet's Great Yogi Milarepa. Well. So let's see if our folder has something from Tibet. Yeah, it does. What is a gem? So how do I rotate it without, oh God, let me, this is a Mac problem. Let me rotate and share the screen. File, edit.
We are actually rotating.
Huh?
We are actually rotating with the story.
Yes, we are. So there's 8 pages of content here from the book. Can you see the screen now?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so how Naropa performed great acts of self-denial. This part has 6 chapters, blah, blah, blah. This, oops, okay, yeah. So it repaginated this way. So people, why don't you read this before tomorrow? And we'll stop here and do Naropa, Tilaropa tomorrow. What say people?
We are really touched by your research work and putting them all together in one place.
Not me. Give that to Ward.
Yes. You are
It's
bringing
Ward.
it to us. That is your effort.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my effort. Yes. Thank you, Baba. But
We are
let's read
struggling.
this.
Only problem, we are struggling to catch up with teams, how to use it properly. Yes.
Okay. I still owe you a class. You said you wanted it last weekend.
Yes, later.
So others, you know how to get to this, right? This folder. Where is that folder? This folder.
I'll try it sometime.
So these are all the notes that Ward has put together. Chatti Baba, then even Ramayana selections. Again, this will be specific to the sessions as we go. So session 9, he's talking about divine theme, and that's, I think, book 4. No, book 3, which is God Speaks. Then, yeah, there's a lot of stuff he's put together. It's amazing. Hats off to him. But sadly, the videos are not complete. So I'm trying to push Naman to upload the rest of the videos. I hope they are recorded. I'm not sure from his messages if all the videos from Ward for the whole 16 sessions as he has planned in the syllabus are recorded, but they are not uploaded, or whether they are not recorded yet. I don't know. But I'll share in the group and on these meetings the progress as I find out. And I told him I'm creating this playlist for my listeners' comfort, and I shared that link with him as well. And I also took permission for sharing this and using all this content in the way we are doing. And he said he'll convey it to Ward. Anyway, it's public domain stuff. Anyway, they wanted this to be used in this manner. It's just organized on Teams. That's it. Yeah. Anyway, so anything before we wrap up? We are almost out of time.
No, it's a great story, bringing together, say, the life story of Baba as well as his teachings, both together. And that's the way I could see that Lord Meher is entwined with God Speaks Here. It's interesting because he talks
Yes.
of Baba's life story and also his teachings together. That's nice.
And remember, this was read out to Baba over months in Meherabad, and he has made changes and he has approved the final version that we're
Yes,
reading
yes.
right now. So
Yes.
it's exciting stuff. All right. On that note, all of you have a great Saturday. And as I said, try to read Tilopa Naropa. It should take you a few minutes, maybe half an hour at max. I'll probably even help by putting that link or even that PDF on the group. And let's catch up tomorrow.
Yes, yes. Jai
Jai
Baba.
Baba.
Jai Baba.
Avatar Meher
Baba,
Baba
everybody.
ki jai. See you all tomorrow.
See you all
Jai
tomorrow. Bye.